Alright, so this is what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do some texturing for a tear gas canister. I'm gonna show you my process for texturing and keeping the normal map to a minimum, just to show the texturing process without having too much normal maps. So yeah, let's get to it. This is the texture that I made before. I'm going to show you from scratch how to do it. And this is my very simple painted normal map. So nothing special there. Alright, so let's start from scratch. What I would do in a case like I have no high poly model is that I would just export this this one with the UVs set up neatly and export it into an OBJ file, and then open XNormals, and we're gonna bake an ambient occlusion map. So I will put the low poly model into both the high definition meshes and the low definition meshes. Then baking options will be ambient occlusion. I think this is not checked before, so check that every option is like this. I think 1K is good enough for this, so just keep these and generate maps and everything like that. Then you will get a ambient occlusion map. The good thing about this is like you get an alpha map as well. So if you just hold Control and click in here, you get an alpha map, so you can put your base color and don't have to think about the edges or the borders. I'm just gonna take a new layer, pick a color, maybe dark gray. I'm gonna take Control Shift and I, so that I invert my selection, then fill with the color, and always have this on top. This is not exactly how I used to do, but sometimes I think it just gets the texture more neat feel, and I don't have to think about all the extra texture I'm putting on there. So I think this one will do that. Double click and press OK on the AO map, and then just put in a base color. So I have a reference image from the model I made. I usually pick out some references pretty carefully from Google or anything like that before I start doing my texture work, and sometimes I have a lot of reference images for different parts and stuff like that. But for now I'm gonna pick a pretty bright color with some yellow greenish color for it, so maybe like that, and fill our background color. The AO we will put at a multiply, so that it only gives the dark values for on top of the background. So I think the AO right now is too much, so I'm just gonna lower the opacity a bit. The AO is always a bit too much, so sometimes I end up not using it at all, or just using some of it. But let's try this one out. So I'm just gonna save this. Let's tear gas _D, save it as Photoshop. I'm going to Maya again, and I'm gonna set up a new material. Let's make it a Lambert and assign the material. And I'm gonna put the texture in there. Tear gas D. So now you see it with the base color and the ambient occlusion map. So it gives some depth to it and some more realism. So that's what we are after. And pretty much the only thing reason for making this is because you want to know where to paint your textures. And I always set up my texture with UV snapshot as well. So I go into Window and UV texture editor. I select all my UVs, take polygon, UV snapshot, set up my resolution, make it a target file, and browse to where I want to put it. So I'm gonna put it the same folder. So gas UV01 and just OK. Double click, Control A, Control C, Control V. Put it on top of everything and use it as screen. So multiply makes everything that is black put on top, and screen makes everything that is white being put on top. And as you can see from my UV layout is that everything is straight, or almost everything. I tend to make everything as straight as possible without sacrificing the stretching too much. Just because if I want to make a straight line, I can just hold shift and get the right a straight line with details. So it tends to make my job as a texture artist a lot easier. So keep that in mind, that you have to think forward when you make your UV layout, because you're gonna have a lot of issues if you don't. So some of the parts are pretty hard to make straight, like these and that. Let's check what that is actually. Some time ago I made this. So I just select one of them, hold Control, right click into shell to see what part I'm working on. So it's the inside part of this lid. So this is not that important. So it's not that worrying that it's not straight. This one is obviously the top part, and this is the handle. This one is the ring. This one is the metal part that goes through to pull when you're gonna arm the grenade. This is the grenade itself. This is the top and bottom part. So yeah, let's get straight at it. I think the top part should be more green, more like a army green or something like that, and we keep the canister the same color, and we need this ring to be a more metal color. So let's get right to it. So I'm gonna select the color, There's more army-like. Try not to put too much saturation, since this is a for a horror game or something. So I'm gonna make a new layer. Go into channels, control and click, and just deselect everything that I don't want in this color. So I want I'm gonna try and make this as fast as I can, but texturing is a process that takes a lot of time, so you have to be patient. Alright, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna check if it looks better if we crank down the saturation and change the values a bit. Yeah, that looks better. Gonna click off the eye for the UV snapshot. Let's call this frame, and Control S to save, and go back to Maya and update our diffuse channel. So yeah, that looks decent. Alright, let's make the metal value for this one and this one, or maybe we just do the same process as we did before, so it gets more clean. So it's not going to be big of a change. The change is really just going to be that we don't use as much saturation. We make it a little brighter because it's metal, and we're gonna put some texturing on later, and we're gonna treat it a bit differently than we're going to treat the painted metal. So just fill that. Now to the texturing part. So I'm gonna take a new layer, and we're gonna metal green paint. And actually I think we should instead of background, we're gonna delete everything around these parts so that we have better control. So I'm just gonna hold Control and Alt and click on the green paint, the metal, and actually see that we have to take away that, and Control Shift I and press Control X. So now we have a neat selection mask for every part, so we can just select it if we want to paint on that part. So let's start with the canister or something. Make a new group, canister. Make a new layer, and then I'm gonna use a grunge brush to get a base texture on it. So my grunge brush is basically an image, a black image of some concrete or something, and then I've set up the brush settings with size eater and angle eater and stuff like that, scattering, and I have the pen pressure for that, some more spacing. So play around with that. Oops, my Wacom tablet driver. Alright, so let's start out with just giving it a black if you hold down Alt and hold between the those layers, you can link this one. So if you paint, you can you don't miss. You only paint where the bottom layer is, so you don't get anything outside of that. So let's just paint some of it, and I'm gonna make a mask, layer mask. Oh, sorry about that. And I'm gonna choose a black color. I'm gonna go over it again to just delete some of the stuff that I have. I'm gonna put this on overlay and lower the opacity really low. Can make a new layer, do the same process but with white color instead. Make a new layer mask. Overlay, lower the opacity. Alright. Then I'm actually gonna make a dust layer. So I'm gonna use a dust color, and I usually tend to keep this at a higher opacity, so a bit green yellowish too, and I think it's gonna be even lighter. So some dust. So let's check this out. Save it. Back to Maya. Reload. So this is a pretty good base for painted metal. I think we're gonna add a subtle texture to it as well. So I'm gonna make a new layer. Just select the canister and add some color or some value. Just fill the layer with anything actually, and go to filter, noise, add noise, and just OK. I'm gonna lower the saturation to really a minimum. Just some color values can be good for this. Then filter again, blur, motion blur. Put it at 0 degrees angle, and just OK. I'm gonna put this at overlay and lower the opacity really low. So it's just a subtle little metal feel to it. So subtlety is the key for texturing. Like, you put a lot of subtle changes to it that you don't really see in the beginning, but when everything comes together, it will show that your texture has a lot of realism to it. I think we're gonna make this a bit more green. Yeah, a bit more green. So let's do the same process for the green paint. Yeah, green paint, not the... This can be a bit more dirty, I think, since it's gonna be sticking out a more used more and has a lot of more details. So there's gonna be more dirt stuck in those parts. So we don't need to lower the opacity as much. Alright, let's check it out. Okay, it's a bit too much, so I'm gonna lower the opacity a bit more. And maybe put mask on the white. Lower this a bit more. So it's a lot of going back and forth, seeing the results. And the dust layer. Alright. Looks pretty good. A bit too much over there, so we're gonna take away some of it on the handle. Alright, let's go into some detail. The metal we can leave for later. Let's go into canister and add a new layer. We can make it overlay in the beginning. Now I'm gonna use a square brush. You can load the square brush in the load brushes and go to your folder where all your brush presets are and load the square brush in there. And then you have to make it like I can use number 4. It's just the size. I'm gonna use shape dynamics with pen pressure and boost up the size jitter a bit. The angle jitter a lot. So just use these. Scattering, so just a bit of scatter. And transfer, we're gonna have opacity jitter. And I think that's about it. This is gonna make the kind of a brush that makes it look like the paint has been worn away from the canister. So as you can see from the UVs, it's really easy just to follow the lines. Let's just see if this is aligned right. This is a bit too far, this one is right. So we need to take this one up. That's a bit better. Alright, so let's put some detail into this. I'm just gonna randomly add some scratches. And let's add some more in this area, because edges are the places that is gonna get the most damage. So I always put a lot of damage in those places, because in the middle it's not as common to get the scratches and stuff like that. So what I'm doing is actually remembering from reference I have looked at before. So look at a lot of references. I'm gonna add an alpha mask and go back to my grunge brush, lower it a bit the size, and go over the scratches. Add a bit of realism to it and lower the opacity at the same time. So let's take a look. It's looking alright. Let's do the same thing for the green paint. Overlay. So here you can see the lines without having the UV snapshot, since the geometry is a bit more clear. So let's just add some, I don't know if that part is now, we don't use scratches there. Okay, this is a bit more tricky, so we have to freehand. And usually the free-handed parts are the most successful ones, since scratches are pretty random. So holding shift is not, it's easy and fast, but it's not the most good looking way actually. So let's just add these scratches. And this is one of my favorite brushes. I use it all the time for texturing. Even on like wood and stuff like that, just to make some scratches that are more random and have some more texture to it. This is looking pretty not good, so I'm gonna delete some of it. So in the edges here, I'm gonna add some more. Alright, let's take a look. So let's save it and load it up. Looks okay. Let's add some more. Gotta think. We need some here as well. Yeah. We would like to have some in there as well. Let's see where that is. Could it be here? Yep. So this is gonna be pretty subtle. Okay, so these are the holes for the metal part that you take out to arm the grenade, so these holes are gonna be used a lot, so make some edge wear around that too. Let's add a mask to this. And delete some of it. Because remember, sorry about that, subtlety is the key for texturing. Right, it's looking pretty good. Let's add some general scratches. So just go over it with the some small scratches all over, randomly. Do the same thing here. Don't put too much. It's just gonna look stupid. So I think I'm gonna have to erase some of this. Some of them are a bit too obvious. Let's check this out. Right, looking pretty good. So now I want to make some more dirt. So I'm gonna, on top of everything, under the AO map, I'm gonna make a new layer and use overlay and fill this with 50% gray. So I think it's 127 RGB. Okay, edit, fill. So you see there's no change to the values when I put it on overlay because it's 50% gray. But now I can use the dodge and burn tools. So I'm gonna put midtones and I'm gonna like enhance the AO map a bit, and it also gives some saturation boost. So it's a pretty big brush for this. So a bit random everywhere, just to give it a more dirty look. I'm gonna use the smudge tool. It's pretty, I use it a lot. So the smudge tool, but I have shape dynamics on with pen pressure and scattering just a bit, and spacing is 16%, and I have the hardness to 0 and strength is like 20 or something. So when it's like finger painting now, it's like I actually smudge the colors to make it softer. So let's check this out. Yeah, it's starting to look like something. Alright, let's maybe use the dodge tool on the corners. Or on the edges. Rather. Circles are always the hardest part. So this is actually to enhance the geometry a bit too. Let's have a look. A bit too much over here. And then just go to the burn tool again and fix it. Looks better. I'm not gonna go over the fixing of the texture seams. There are a couple of different ways to do that, but I don't think it's important right now. So, what else should we do? The metal texture maybe. So metal is gonna have more contrast, so let's make a black part here, lower the opacity, no overlay, and add a new layer. Take the square brush, take a white color, and let's make a lot of scratches, like a lot of them. Like small parts like this, it's not going to be too much to look at, so just having some scratches and some dirt and a lot of contrast is gonna sell the metal to the audience. Like they're gonna recognize it's metal right away, just by taking some simple tools. So let's save that up and see how it looks. Yeah, that looks a bit more like metal. Let's add the stripe and maybe the text. So inside of the canister, make a new layer and choose color. And we are gonna fill this up, edit, fill, and make a text layer. I think actually the text should be over here somewhere. I hate the text tool. Okay, gas. Let's take a better let's use this one for now. Just gonna see where I can use the paragraphs. Or is it the character? Yeah. So let's make it a bit higher and some more. I think actually this is a bit too round. Let's use this one. And boost up this one. Gas. And from some reference I saw some text. We can use this. Right. I'm actually gonna make a new folder and add these to it and use label or something like that. And now add a mask to that folder, and let's go over it with this one. Now let's take a white and bring some of it back. We just wanted to show through a bit. And let's go grab our square brush and let's make some custom damage to this paint that's been scratched away. And since it has some opacity and stuff like that, you don't have to make it totally disappear when you paint. So you can even lower the opacity to 50% or something and just scratch away the surface. Let's make some of this to the text as well. Let's just make some scratches through the entire thing. Right, the same for this. Let's show it without the layer mask and with the layer mask, and it's a big difference. Let's check it out in here. Alright, looking pretty good. Let's change the text size a bit. I think the gas should be larger than the other text. Although should just make this into an object for that, so that we don't lose the changes from the that we just did. So now it's a bit blurry. Learn from my mistake. Like change the size before. Just add a sharpness, unsharp mask to that. Alright. I don't think I need to show that much more right now. Baking normal maps is just I put a black line where I need it. Like if I was supposed to make this edge, I would make a black line and bake it with XNormal's plugin, then paint some dirt and black edges and stuff like that. So yeah, this is about it. I would also like to show, when I see it now, these black dirt marks. They usually get pretty cool. So before I stop the video, I'm gonna show you that. So I'm gonna take, like imagine this is some oil marks or something like that. So I'm just gonna take the square brush and add some pretty straight lines. And now I'm gonna use the smudge tool on pretty high strength and smudge it out a bit. Maybe even take away the scattering option so that we get more of a smudgy feeling, like it's been smudged on there. Eraser, gonna lower the hardness. Let's see how that looks. Pretty good. Just a little misplaced and a bit too obvious. So let's lower the opacity a bit and just place it over here or something. Yeah, but you get the point. And I would do that all over the canister. Alright, that's it.